You might think that this is some kind of circus trick for which he's been specially trained, but not so. He is doing this entirely on initiative. He's seen others doing it and he's copying. And that ability to imitate as well as to use tools is something which started among monkeys but has been brought to a much greater level.
That right there is some top-notch sanitation theater, as of course it's a performance and nothing else. A show meant to convince you of an imaginary idea. Welcome back, beautiful and amazing human beings. This is Luke Rudowski here of WeAreChange.org, and we have a lot of absolutely crazy stuff to get into, as of course some very strange things are happening to people who have complied over 3 times now. What's going on here? How will the government respond after giving a very stark and gloomy message to the American public? Well, we're going to discuss that plus a lot more, all on this independent media broadcast. And just jumping right into it because there's so much to discuss today. We found out from a CIA advisor that the United States is a lot closer to civil war than, quote, anybody would like to believe. And when you have one of the top clandestine, secretive institutions that have created civil wars in the world telling you that there's a potential for a civil war here, we should listen. This, of course, from the words of the University of California professor Dr. Barbara Walter, who is saying today that the United States has entered in very dangerous territory, as now 3 retired U.S. generals have written about the potential of a split in the military that creates a very dangerous situation for it to splinter, cause a civil conflict, or even potentially a coup d'etat. All of this heading into, of course, the 2024 elections, which will definitely be heated, and some people are seeing might even see the return of Hillary Clinton versus Donald Trump. The media is already trying to play up Hillary Clinton, and after personally talking to many previous Donald Trump cabinet members, all of them are telling me that Trump will most likely run. So yeah, definitely expect some crazy, chaotic political nonsense ahead. In related CIA news, in related top-notch clandestine secretive intelligence agency news that ran international trafficking and extortion operations around the world using children, we're finding out today that the Ghislaine Maxwell case is coming to a close as the final arguments are being made during this very important court proceeding, which many people have correctly called an absolute cover-up, since of course many prominent people, whether it was Mr. Clinton or Mr. Trump, Kevin Spacey, the Prince, Les Wexner, Jean-Luc Brunet, so many other people haven't testified, haven't been involved here, and of course haven't been held responsible. Did I mention Bill Gates? Yeah. Bill Gates, too, of course, is connected to this. And for the closing arguments to come in now, after so much information, so many people connected to this, and the federal government, the prosecuting team that, of course, James Comey's daughter is a part of, making closing arguments already here, in my opinion, is just an absolute travesty of injustice, and still has a lot of powerful men out there that did unspeakable things, walking the earth free, fully capable and able to hurt more children. Now, what was going on between all these powerful people and these intelligence assets? Well, we don't know. We should know, but the U.S. government is preventing us from even understanding the true scope of what actually was going on here. Ghislaine Maxwell was even seen with previous individuals like Elon Musk, who claimed that Ghislaine Maxwell photobombed them, that he had no idea who she was. And again, it's important not to just jump to conclusions here, but there definitely should be an official investigation. In related Elon Musk news, we are finding out today that Elon Musk has become a man who has given the federal government more tax dollars than anyone else before him in American history, as Elon Musk admits that he will be paying the U.S. government $11 billion in taxes this year. This, as Elizabeth Warren has called him a freeloader and demanded that he pay his fair share. This says, of course, the U.S. federal government just prints money out of thin air with the Federal Reserve printing money policy that they have established. That money usually goes to their friends. And then from my opinion and perspective, they do absolutely horrible things with that money. What will the U.S. government do with that $11 billion? Well, you know, of course, the military-industrial complex needs to get theirs. The pharma-industrial complex needs to get theirs as well. How else are you going to redistribute the wealth from everyone to, of course, the friends of the government. There's also some aid workers and little children in Afghanistan that need some U.S. government in their life. And a lot of people are asking the question, who would spend the money more productively? Who would create a better situation for the world with $11 billion? The U.S. government or Elon Musk? Interesting question, since, of course, Elon Musk is also working on human brain chip interfaces that will control internal and external components of our existence. Not an easy question, but questions, of course, that we raise and get into more on our own exclusive platform called LukeUncensored.com. I have a very important video coming out later on today that will delve into the people who have complied 3 times and are dealing with an absolute crazy, unpredictable situation. Again, I have a lot of things to say. I can't say them here. I will be saying it all, plus a lot more, playing a lot of videos that I can't play here, all exclusively on LukeUncensored.com. You could also gift memberships to your friends, family members, and loved ones. This is a great gift idea since, of course, we also have Change Media University, a part of LukeUncensored.com for free, available to you. And, of course, also Apocalypse Survival Training, which will teach people how to survive in a collapsing society or make some fresh, dank memes during it. Your choice. And of course, you get Change Media University and Apocalypse Survival Training with your membership to LukeUncensored.com. Click the link down in the description below if you haven't signed up yet. What are you waiting for? And I can't wait to join the conversation there later on today. Now, something very strange is happening right now that deserves to be correctly called out. There, of course, is a sickness going around. The government said, hey, we're going to give you this procedure to take. You take this procedure and everything's going to go back to normal, or we're going to fight this sickness. And a lot of people have complied with the wishes of government, and in response to that, there's a lot more people getting sick. As of course, right now we are being inundated with a lot of stories of record numbers, record cases, new hospitalizations. Some of it, of course, fear-mongering, as we're hearing about stories about how the CDC can't even track what's going on here, how there's a lack of even tests in places like New York that are just recording 2 days of record cases, with the New York State governor reporting that 21,908 people have, quote, tested positive. This as people have to wait in very long lines in very cold weather to testing facilities that are not even well equipped and aren't even prepared to carry the burden of this kind of testing, showing once again how the government even absolutely failed here at testing people. Now, breaking the case record 2 days in a row is something that people are raising the alarms about. CNN and BuzzFeed, all of whose employees were, of course, compliant and took the procedure, most of them 3 times, had to start remote work because of breakthrough cases in their offices. And we're getting messages like this coming from New York City, with the person saying, quote, I don't know if people outside New York City understand what's happening in New York. Today I woke up to one friend saying their fever was 103, another friend saying they tested positive, and another friend saying their mom got it. All were compliant with the procedure. 2 were boosted. And there's a lot of people talking about how they got the booster and also how they're testing positive for the sickness that the booster is supposed to be fighting. Hunter Walker said that he just tested positive, but, quote, he's very glad that he was boosted. Senator Elizabeth Warren also boosted, just tested positive. The governor of Maryland boosted and just tested positive for the sickness. The sensationalistic fear-monger of them all, Jim Cramer, boosted and just came down with this sickness. All, of course, as the media keeps telling you to get boosted, including Jim Cramer himself, who has been declaring that the government has the right to force this procedure on to you and that you have to obey, as he's literally been cheerleading for top-down tyrannical centralization of force and the eradication of bodily autonomy, calling for nationwide mandates to be implemented immediately, even though he complied with the mandates and got sick from the sickness, which is allegedly why this is all happening. Now, again, correlation does not prove causation. I'm not a medical doctor. I'm not a medical professional. I'm not here giving you any medical advice. But what in the world is happening here with all this boosted people? Again, we're going to be talking about that on LukeUncensored.com later on today. But the messaging from the government that's being cheerleaded on by people like Jim Cramer doesn't seem carefully thought out, doesn't seem pragmatic, doesn't seem realistic, as of course it looks like it's a knee-jerk reaction that potentially could be making this situation that much worse. The government's messaging around this, according from even the WhiteHouse.gov's own website, that if you don't comply with the procedure that they want you to take, that there will be severe illness and death for those people, their families, and the hospitals that will be overwhelmed by them, even though we are getting early preliminary numbers from the CDC that 80% of the people getting sick from this new variant are the people who have complied with this procedure. Some people have said that this sounds more of like a threat than a warning, as of course this is a morbid message that, according to many people, is absolutely sensationalistic, hyperbolic, and unwarranted. The statement was of course made by the White House Chief of Staff, who is a professional bureaucrat, not a medical doctor, a politician, literally warning about doomsday if you don't do the medical procedure he wants you to take and support the big pharma companies that profit off of this with no liability to themselves at all. And making those statements off of no scientific data at all, no studies, no findings, is of course extremely disappointing, as of course it is jumping the gun prematurely before waiting to even find out exactly what's really happening here. The self-proclaimed Mr. Science also isn't helping the situation, as of course he's telling family members to see each other over Christmas if they have fully complied with what the government wants them to take. All of this as the New York State government looks to take things up even further in more of a dramatic escalation, as there is legislation right now in the New York State Senate Assembly that would provide indefinite detention to individuals who have not taken this procedure or whom had close contact with a, quote, positive case. Yes, beginning January 5th, 2022, the New York State Senate and Assembly will be voting on a bill that would grant the government permission to detain cases of suspected individuals who allegedly might be sick. Not individuals that are sick, might be sick, or individuals who have not taken this procedure. Of course, we have seen similar policies implemented in Australia, where it is being used punitively, it is being used for political repression, and people are sent to camps for simply lying to government officials and not following every of their orders carefully. And again, this is what we've been saying was going to happen. Australia just happened to be one of the first places that implemented this kind of policies, but these policies are already written on the books. There's just different steps, different layers, different codes, different words used for the different steps that all the governments are proceeding in the same unison manner that, of course, essentially lead to internment camps, detention facilities, and then there's even different layers beyond that. In Germany, they're taking the situation into their own hands, where their health minister just called for an immediate forced procedure on the entire population, vows to push this mandatory, quote, procedure by all means, while the Times of Israel literally writes warning articles about how, quote, this is how it happens, specifically detailing what happened in Germany in the 1930s, detailing how this war on a sickness has quickly turned into a war on human rights and freedom. This, according to the Times of Israel, that I think wrote a really very fascinating, interesting piece here that is definitely deserved to be read. And with some of the world's pushing tyranny, there's few places that are promoting freedom, like in Florida, where the governor there just declared that, quote, we will not let anybody lock them down. We will not let anyone take their jobs. We will not let anyone ruin their businesses, and we will not let anyone close their schools, specifically talking about the citizens of Florida, which he is the current governor of. Even though a lot of places in the world are turning dark, there is still some kind of light and hope. What gives you hope? What makes you optimistic about the future, even if it's the little things. Let me know down in the comment section below. I'm definitely going to be keeping an eye on this one. I appreciate your perspective, your opinions, and more importantly, just your time. Just being willing to spend some time together means a lot. I'm going to be shooting yet another video on LukeUncensored.com right now. I hope to join you there for the conversation. I love you guys. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you. Stay tuned for a lot more here on LukeUncensored.com.